Hello everyone, welcome to ChessVisor. In today's video, I'm going to show you one of my own games which I played on chess.com. It was just a random rapid game which I played on chess.com. It was a rapid format 10 plus 0 without increment. Without much delay, let's get started. So with white pieces, my opponent starts the game with a 1 e4 and I went with the Nimzowitsch defense, which is my all-time favorite defense for black against the e4. My opponent grabbed the space with the pawn to d4. So I played pawn to e5. It's a kind of a provoking move because now I am expecting him to play this move pawn to d5 to attack my knight. The main moves are to consider knight f3. I have to take the pawn and then go into the Scotch game. This is one kind of problem in playing this Nimzowitsch defense, where you have to know other openings as well. Say for example, if white takes, you have to take back and then pawn to f4, the knight drops back. This is also another setup you have to know when you are dealing with this kind of defense. But in the game, my opponent, as I expected, he played pawn to d5. So the knight went to e7, pawn to c4. He grabbed more space or strengthened his center. I played knight to g6, and here I could have played knight f6 as well, just to gain the time on the e4 pawn, and then he could have defended with knight c3 and then knight g6. But more or less, everything is going to be like a transposed one. So knight to g6, knight f3, knight f6, hitting the pawn, and then knight comes out. So knight c3. So I played bishop b4, just pinning down the knight and trying to win a pawn. So bishop d3 defends that, and here I inserted this move: bishop takes c3 check, b takes c3, and then pawn to d6. So this is the basic structure of the Nimzowitsch defense, which is resemble or which is going to be like the Pierce defense or King's Indian or a modern defense. If you are familiar with those defenses, you are going to understand how this is going to play in the middle game, especially when you have this kind of close structure on the king side, on the middle of the board, as well as the queen side. And the point of giving up the bishop pair is to make this structure damage. And not only that, it closes the center, and I'm going to fix the pawn on b6 and also on a5, which is going to give me a free hand on the king side, where we can attack without concentrating on the center, or your center is already stable to continue the attack on the king side. So bishop g5, pinning down the knight. I played b6 because when I kick the bishop immediately, the bishop may go to e3, and with that move he may even try to push forward with the c5. So almost all the time I play this move b6, and then my opponent simply castled and I also castled here. So here he played h3, which is not required in this setup because I'm not going to play the bishop to g4 anyway, because putting the knight in a pin is not going to help me. So even if I want to develop the bishop is most likely going to go to the d7 square, where it is going to attack the a4, because he is going to push a4 at one point of time. I'm going to fix that on a5. So this is the basic middle game plan for the Nimzowitsch defense. So h3, so that's why I'm telling h3 was not required at all in this position. So I just kick the bishop here because I want to move the f6 knight so that I can push forward with the f5 break, so that we can create the king side attack. So bishop e3, this was the idea. So if I did not play this move, now I have to play b6 now. So now I don't have to worry about anything. Now I can concentrate on the king side now. So here there are a couple of options I usually play. The top moves recommended by the engine was to play knight to h7, but here we can trick white by playing this move, knight to h5. It looks like a blunder at first sight. If you are looking at this position for the first time, you may find this looking like a blunder. It's not a blunder actually. If you think that you can take on e5, you are actually making the blunder now, because knight takes e5 followed by queen takes h5, and then I can win the piece on d3, and you are going to resign the game soon. So going back in this position, he played a knight to h2, just paving the way for the queen this way. But that allowed me to put the knight on a beautiful square, that is f4, or that is a dream scenario for the every Nimzowitsch player who would like to put the knight on f4 square. And even if you chop one of the knights, the other knight is going to come. That is the point of putting the knight on g6 and then h5 and then f4. So here, if you ask what could be the best move for white here, the idea is to kick the knight. How you are going to kick the knight? By playing g3. But the problem is there is this h3. This is hanging, so you cannot lose a pawn in this kind of positions. Okay, so Say for example, let's say white plays king h2. Let's say I put the knight on f4, and now you cannot even play this move immediately because still the knight is attacking, and also the bishop is attacking the pawn. So now you have to play this move. Let's say the bishop has to retreat back. Then let's say I play bishop d7 and then knight g1, and then now you are preparing to play the move pawn to g3. So this is how you have to prepare to kick the knight on f4 square. But in the game, my opponent played a knight h2 directly, which allowed me to put the knight on a beautiful f4 square. And now he chopped it immediately, which allowed to bring my another knight into the game, that is knight takes f4. And here even the best move, that is knight f3, is not going to do that much for black. So I can go knight takes d3, queen takes d3, and then pawn f5, which is my, what do you say, the typical pawn break on the king side. After e takes f5, bishop takes f5, queen e2, queen f6, rook f7, rook a f8, and then the king side attack is going to be like very easy one for white, for black. So here after bishop takes f4, I played knight takes f4, and then queen f3 he tried, and then now I started breaking the center, or I want to open the f5. So e takes f5 was played, and then bishop takes f5, and now the bishop was exchanged. Bishop takes f5, rook takes f5, and he just attacked the rook, but now I played queen to g5. So here you could put the queen on f6, which I don't want to do because I want to connect the rooks by, or while I'm bringing the rook to f8, I want the rooks to be doubled, and also I want to pin down this pawn, and I want to make a checkmate threat. So that's why I played this move. But queen to f6 is completely playable, or that is the best move. King h1 and then rook a f8. So final piece into the game. And here my opponent played a, oh sorry for ruining the the game. So here queen e4 and then queen to g5, king h1. So my opponent played here after rook a f8, he played rook a e1, knight h5. So knight h5 is it's a kind of move, it is very difficult to spot here. I'm not telling this position is very easy because we want to put the rook maybe on f4 square, but retreating move is always difficult. I'm not telling generally. So I played knight h5, which is kind of a most what do you say, strongest move ever played in this game, because now I'm not only bringing, or I'm just looking at f2 square. Now it is only defended once. If you think that you can defend it with e2, again I can simply take on f, the brilliant rook sacrifice, which will allow me to fork the king and the queen in the ending. So this is the point of retreating the knight and going after g3 square. So here my opponent played knight f3 because now the knight is not there on f4, so that there is no checkmate. So he gains the time on the queen, but here I did not move the queen. So that that gives a clue for you. It's a very easy sacrifice only. So I simply sacrifice the rook on f3, a brilliant rook sacrifice to destroy the king structure, as well as you remove the key defender. And after g takes f3, I'll play rook f4, gaining the time on the queen, and he played queen to e3, thinking that he is pinning down the rook. Because my idea was to put the rook on h4, so now I can play this move, queen to f5. So here in this position, if he plays queen to d3 just to control this f5 square, then now I can play the move rook to h4, and there is no stop. There is unstoppable mate is coming, or you have to give up a lot of materials. Going back in the game, he plays queen e3, I played queen f5, threatening mate, king h2, and then I played rook takes f3, threatening the queen. So after this move, he played queen to e4. So here the fastest way to deliver the mate was to play rook to h4. That was the initial idea. So f4 and then knight takes f4, rook g1, rook takes h3 check, queen takes h3, and then queen takes h3 is a checkmate. But in the game, what happened? I played rook takes f3. He played queen e4, but I played queen takes h3 check, king g1, and then I involved the knight f4. He played queen takes f3, but still queen takes f3, rook e3, and then I delivered mate on g2. So I hope you enjoyed this quick review of this game. If you have any game which you played online, it could be a rapid game. If you have such game where you played the brilliant moves and you had a spectacular finish or anything, If you want to show in our channel, you can send it to my Instagram ID, that is chesswiser, only if you played the brilliant move, especially from the rapid games. I will try to show it in the channel. In case if you are interested, you can send it me. I hope you enjoyed this quick review of my game, and if you do so, please like this. And still, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, consider subscribing to it. And as usual, this is Chesswiser, your wise choice to improve your chess.